What is up, YouTube? I done went down another rabbit hole, baby. Uncle Mike done went down the rabbit hole. Shout out to Nipsey, rest in peace. Last recording of Nipsey Hussle on the grounds just leaked. This video was 3 weeks ago, man. 38,000 views. Shout out to everybody that knew his music and stuff. I didn't know his music. I think right around the time Nipsey was really being recognized is around the time Uncle Mike was just getting back into music. I was done with music. I'm sick. It's too much headaches, man, to enjoy the fun part. How about that? Too much bull goes into this, end up like this because of haters. You got your people that's working against you, like other teams, what you call it, your rivals, your competition. All other rappers, if you're a rapper, all other rappers. If you're a beat maker, all other beat makers. The haters, they ain't even gotta be beat makers. They can just be haters. They ain't gotta do what you do. They just hate you. All these people are after you. They wanna kill you, yo. They wanna kill you. Why would you wanna kill anybody, bruh? That's crazy. To wanna take a human being off this earth. I couldn't do it, man. So I had to leave the streets alone. Couldn't do it, man. You have to seriously have done something to me in order for me to wanna kill you. I might wanna whoop your tail for saying something slick out your mouth. I might wanna whoop it a couple of times. Y'all crazy, man. I can't see. Y'all crazy, man. I can't see wanting to off somebody, man. When it's time to answer to him, I'm sorry, man. Just in case. Now I know a lot of people, they say it out their mouth, but they don't believe. They think that once you die, you just be put in the ground and that's it. You're done, son. A lot of people believe that. But I know one thing, just in case it's okay, I'm gonna do right. Hell, somebody gotta do right in the first place. Y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell.
March 31st, 2019, Nipsey Hussle was gunned down outside his Marathon clothing store. For years, we were left with a lot of unanswered questions. But now, new footage of his final moments just dropped, and it's revealing more than anyone expected.
He was fighting the whole time. He fought hard. Up until he went to the hospital, he was still breathing and he was doing good.
I've got all the details, including new evidence that points to who may have ordered the hit. Let's break it down. The final moments. Picture this. It's a Sunday afternoon in the Crenshaw district, and the sun is shining on what should have been just another peaceful.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm old. She said
They go with us because.
Okay. Okay. I'm old and she barely speak English. Lord have mercy. God damn, what a couple. Here we go, y'all. Here we go.
He was fighting the whole time. He fought hard. Up until he went to the hospital, he was still breathing and he was doing good.
I've got all the details, including new evidence that points to who may have ordered the hit. Let's break it down. The final moments. Picture this. It's a Sunday afternoon in the Crenshaw district, and the sun is shining on what should have been just another peaceful day in the neighborhood. Nipsey had pulled up to his Marathon store around 3:07 p.m. for what was supposed to be a quick run-through, nothing major. But check this out. Fate had other plans brewing. Eric Holder and his female companion, who the streets later found out was Brianita Nicholson, happened to be at the same strip mall getting some grub. Both these cats were from the same set, the Rollin' 60s neighborhood Crips. Both came up in the same blocks, both knew the same players. They had history, which makes what happened next even more foul. The conversation that sealed Nipsey's fate went down for about 4 minutes, and according to the streets, it wasn't even that deep. Herman Cowboy Douglas, one of Nipsey's day one homies, who was right there when it happened, said Hussle was just trying to put game in Holder's ear about some rumors floating around that he was cooperating with the boys in blue. Cowboy made it clear that Nipsey wasn't coming at dude sideways. He was dropping jewels, trying to look out for him like a big homie should. The whole exchange was casual, just two neighborhood cats having a regular conversation. But here's where it gets wild. Holder Holder had the audacity to ask if Nipsey had heard his music, and the response was straight up negative. Now, in the streets, that's a cold rejection, especially when you're talking to someone who's made it to the top of the game.
That's a young Nipsey. Almost didn't even recognize him. Watch this, y'all.
Had the audacity to ask if Nipsey had heard his music, and the response was straight up negative. Now,
right there. That's Nipsey when he was real young, man. Go on, my man. Rest in peace. Damn, man, why y'all do this, man? That's stupid.
In the streets, that's a cold rejection, especially when you're talking to someone who's made it to the top of the game while you're still struggling to get your music heard. That ego bruising might have been the real trigger, not just the snitch talk. The timeline of what happened next shows how calculated this whole situation was. At 3:12 p.m., Holder's shorty took a flick with Nipsey and posted it on the gram. This innocent moment became crucial evidence later, proving that everything seemed cool before the darkness took over. Holder then went back to grab his food order, and they rolled to an adjacent parking lot where evil started brewing in this fool's mind. What makes this whole thing so sinister is how premeditated it was. Holder came back to the Marathon parking lot, loaded up his piece, and then proceeded to dump on Nipsey at least 10 times. This wasn't no heat of the moment situation. This was a stone cold execution. The prosecution later proved that the 9-minute gap between the conversation and the shooting was all the evidence they needed to show this was first-degree murder. The actual shooting was caught on surveillance, creating a permanent record of this tragedy. Court testimony revealed that Holder rolled up on Nipsey with both a semi-automatic and a revolver, letting both weapons eat. The attack was described as shooting Nipsey at least 10 times, maybe 11, with bullets hitting everything from the bottom of his feet to the top of his head, including the fatal shot to the back of his dome. But this coward wasn't done yet. After emptying his clips into Nipsey, Holder had the nerve to kick him in the head before bouncing. This final act of disrespect shows just how personal this hit was. This wasn't just about killing, it was about humiliation, about showing ultimate disrespect to someone who had shown him nothing but love. The aftermath was pure chaos in the hood.
It had to be, man, it had to be somebody that he in his own home. Damn, young. This is crazy. So the bigger you get, you need to have security around you all the time. I'm about to buy a gun. I'm about to buy another gun. Damn, man. And it'll be somebody that you kind of down with, that just kirk off all of a sudden, and just bam, 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 bam. It was somebody he knew, somebody he was down with, somebody from the neighborhood. Oh my God, cuz, why would you do that, young? Give him 2 or 3 more years, he gonna be hurting like, I wish I'd never done that, man. That's a mistake.
It's just how
probably hurting now.
Personal this hit was. This wasn't just about killing. It was about humiliation, about showing ultimate disrespect to someone who had shown him nothing but love. The aftermath was pure chaos in the hood. 2 other homies got hit in the crossfire. Shermy Villanueva caught one in the chest, and Kerry Lathan took a bullet to the back. Lathan's shot left him paralyzed and wheelchair bound as of April 2019. The same brother that Nipsey came to bless became another casualty of this senseless violence.
Tell me what happened.
Guy rolled up, Nipsey's out signing autographs or whatever. Guy rolled up, local guy. We know who he is and all that stuff.
The witness accounts from the streets paint a picture of a warrior who, even with death knocking at his door.
Man, oh God, somebody dies, right? Local guy, we all know who he was. Well, pick him up. I'm police. I'm the man. I'm the man that's trying to get in on this. We all know who he was. Well, if you know who he was, pick this guy up. Who was it? You said on you know who he was. See how the social media tell on themselves? Because they want their 5 minutes of fame. Yeah, you see me on the joint. You dummy. Even the people, the thugs, the real people, they saw you on there telling some, we know who it was. Oh, so you about to snitch, cuz. So we need to get rid of you before you snitch. Dummies. Why are you so dumb? Jesus.
Was still fighting to stay alive. Shermy Villanueva testified that he heard Hussle say, he shot me, as he was bleeding out on the concrete. These might have been some of his last words. A simple statement of shock that someone from his own hood, someone he knew personally, had just tried to take him out the game. The timeline becomes even more tragic when we look at what Nipsey was doing right before the shooting.
Where were you when this happened?
I was with Nip prior to the guy. The guy was in the parking lot running around getting his food or whatever it may be. If you look at the tapes, I had my food in my hand the whole time, talking to Nipsey while we were in the parking lot.
The homie continues with the most heartbreaking details.
Wow.
I left for a matter of seconds, just left to go put my food down in the break room. Like, I'll be right back. Put my food down in the break room. By the time I hit the break room, I heard the gunshots.
What happened next still haunts everyone who
that's
witnessed
crazy.
it.
Started running out, heard some more gunshots, and I ran out. Nick was on the ground, and one guy was breaking off, fleeing the scene or whatever. And I ran over to Nip and held him,
The witness describes hearing multiple rounds going off, seeing the shooter flee like a coward, and then finding Nipsey laid out on the ground. The most important testimony relates to Nipsey's final moments and his fight to stay alive.
Nipsey fought the whole way. He was breathing the whole time. Had a pulse, in and out of consciousness, but he fought hard. I could just see it in his eyes. He was fighting.
Despite being shot multiple
It's sad, man. It's sad. And I'm glad that you told your little story, but think about it. Everybody, even the police, both sides, the bad people are looking for you now. The police are looking for you now because now they want to know how much more you know. Both sides. So how much money or fame or whatever did you get for running your mouth? That's what go ahead, I'll wait. I want to know how much you got.
Had a pulse, in and out of consciousness, but he fought hard. I could just see it in his eyes. He was fighting.
Despite being shot multiple times, including that fatal shot to the back of his head, he kept fighting for his life. The medical examiner's report later confirmed that Hussle was pronounced dead at 3:55 p.m., 35 minutes after the shooting, meaning he battled death for over half an hour.
He was fighting the whole time. He fought hard. Up until he went to the hospital, he was still breathing and he was doing good.
The interaction between the witness and the dying legend reveals the desperation and love of those trying to save him.
He wasn't in a state that really he could talk, but you could tell he was fighting. He was trying to get his consciousness. You could tell he was fighting.
The witness describes seeing him struggle to stay conscious, fighting against the effects of his injuries through pure heart and will.
So I just sat there and prayed with him and just kept praying. And when it looked like he wanted to doze back, I wake up, Nip, wake up, bro, wake up.
This moment captures the heartbreaking reality of those final minutes. A loyal homie sitting with a dying king, praying and trying to keep him conscious, refusing to give up hope even as the situation became desperate. Despite being ambushed and shot multiple times by someone he knew and trusted, despite being kicked in the head after being shot, he continued to fight for his life until the very end. This fighting spirit, even in his darkest moment, exemplifies the character that made him such a respected figure in the streets. The broader context of that day reveals the calculated nature of this attack. According to Deputy District Attorney John McKinney's opening statement during Holder's murder trial, Holder was strapped with a semi-automatic and a revolver and approached Hussle and opened fire with both weapons. This wasn't some spontaneous act of violence, it was a planned execution carried out with multiple weapons. The prosecution's case later established that Holder allegedly said, "You're through," before shooting, to which Hussle responded, "You got me," as he was being shot. These may have been some of the last words exchanged between the two men, a threat and an acknowledgement of betrayal from the streets. The story doesn't end with the shooting. The immediate response from Nipsey's family shows the depth of love and desperation in those crucial moments. Hussle's brother, Samuel Asgadome, got the call about the shooting and rushed to the scene, running red lights as he sped down Slauson Avenue. When he arrived, he found his brother laid out on his back, bleeding heavily with his head tilted to the side. Following instructions from a 911 operator, Samuel performed CPR, pressing on Hussle's chest to keep him breathing. The image of a brother performing CPR on his dying sibling in a parking lot, surrounded by chaos and onlookers, captures the personal tragedy behind this public loss. A chilling scream erupted when paramedics lifted Hussle onto a stretcher, revealing the extent of his injuries, including the gunshot wound to the back of his head. This moment, witnessed by a crowd that had gathered, marked the transition from desperate hope to the realization of an inevitable tragedy. The medical response was swift and professional, but the damage was too severe. Paramedics inserted a tube down Hussle's throat and an IV in his arm, but despite these efforts, Hussle was pronounced dead at 3:55 p.m., 35 minutes after the shooting. His death certificate, obtained by TMZ, listed gunshot wounds to the head and torso as the cause of death, noting that he fought to survive for those 35 minutes. The trial revelations. The murder trial of
Boy, TMZ be getting everything. They got the death certificate. God dang, they a YouTube channel, man. TMZ I guess they got a website and they put news and stuff up. Oh my God, man. This is crazy, man. Okay, TMZ got a copy of the goddamn, look at this.
Z listed gunshot wounds to the head and torso as the cause of death, noting that he fought to survive for those 35 minutes. The trial revelations. The murder trial of Eric Holder Jr. began on June 15, 2022, almost 3 years after Nipsey Hussle got laid down, and what came out of that courtroom was a devastating picture of jealousy, premeditation, and the deadly consequences of disrespect in hood culture. The trial wasn't just about getting justice for Nipsey's murder. It exposed the whole twisted web of relationships, motivations, and circumstances that led to one of hip-hop's most shocking betrayals. The trial had been pushed back multiple times due to court shutdowns and Holder's first attorney, Christopher Darden, backing out because of death threats. This detail alone shows how deep the street's emotions ran about this case. When the trial finally kicked off, it provided the most detailed breakdown yet of what went down that Sunday afternoon and what was going through the mind of the cat who pulled the trigger. Eric R. Holder Jr., then 32, was facing 1 count of first-degree murder, 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder, 2 counts of assault with a firearm, and possession of a firearm by a felon. The prosecution, led by Deputy District Attorney John McKinney, was going to prove that this was a calculated, premeditated murder driven by a toxic combination of perceived disrespect and professional jealousy. The prosecution's opening statement painted a picture of a man who had time to think about his actions and still chose violence. McKinney argued that Holder clearly thought about what he was going to do before he did it, pointing to his return to the parking lot after the snitching conversation as evidence of intent. This wasn't no heat of the moment situation. It was a deliberate choice to commit murder. The evidence presented during the trial was overwhelming. Multiple eyewitnesses and surveillance footage from local businesses backed up Holder's actions, making the case against him bulletproof. The prosecution had video evidence of Holder's arrival, the shooting itself, and his departure, creating an undeniable record of his guilt. But the most damning evidence came from the testimony of Brianita Nicholson, the female who had driven Holder to and from the scene. Nicholson, who was granted immunity and testified as a key witness, claimed she had no idea about Holder's intentions and only learned about the shooting from the news. Her testimony provided crucial details about Holder's state of mind and actions, both before and after the shooting. According to Nicholson's testimony, she heard Holder say, "You're through to Hussle," before opening fire, to which Hussle reportedly responded, "You got me." These final words, if accurate, reveal the moment when Nipsey realized he was about to be killed by someone he knew and had shown love to. The testimony also revealed the calculated nature of Holder's actions after the shooting. Nicholson testified that Holder told her, "Drive before I slap you," as they fled the scene. This command reveals a man who was not only capable of murder, but who was also prepared to threaten violence against anyone who didn't immediately comply with his escape plan. The most revealing aspect of the trial was the testimony about the conversation that allegedly triggered the shooting. Herman Cowboy Douglas, one of Nipsey's closest homies and store employee, testified that the conversation between Hussle and Holder seemed chill, and that Hussle's tone wasn't aggressive, but rather looking out for Holder like a big homie should. This testimony contradicted the defense's claim that Holder was provoked by some aggressive confrontation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not as tight as me and Nipsey, but I want to say 06 through 09, cause I know I was smoking dope pretty tough. I had the whole hood on fire, and he was one of the little youngsters at the spot serving.
Cowboy reveals that Holder was known around the way, but not as someone particularly close to Nipsey. He was described as one of the little youngsters who was working the block during Cowboy's own struggle with addiction. This context helps explain the dynamic between the two men and suggests that Holder may have felt overshadowed by Nipsey's success. The prosecution's case also revealed disturbing details about Holder's behavior in the days leading up to the shooting.
Well, to a certain extent, he was jumping out. He was really looking for problems. Honestly, in my heart, I know for sure he didn't come near looking for Nip. You know what I mean? He came to the hood wanting some problems for sure. You know what I mean?
This suggests that Holder was actively seeking confrontation in the days before the shooting. The witness describes him as jumping out and looking for problems, painting a picture of someone who was agitated and possibly looking for a reason to engage in violence. The fact that he was carrying 2 straps supports this interpretation.
Jumping out with 2 pistols, you're gonna find problems. I don't care. Any hood you jump out. You know what I mean? So yeah, he was jumping out, a lot of people putting a lot of emphasis saying Nipsey called him a snitch.
This reveals that Holder was strapped with 2 pistols and actively confrontational in the day.
I don't care if You call somebody a snitch, that ain't no reason to kill him. You call somebody a snitch, you call them something back. You a snitch. Well, you a snitch. You a snitch too. You don't take a gun and just pow somebody, man. I don't understand this.
You know, a lot of people putting a lot of emphasis saying Nipsey called him a snitch.
This reveals that Holder was strapped with 2 pistols and actively confrontational in the days before the shooting. The trial also revealed details about Nipsey's state of mind and activities in the days leading up to his death.
We had just did the DJ Khaled video a couple days prior, you know, and I'm sitting there like, man, I was like, man, you finally made it. You know, I think it maybe like, I don't know if it was like 2 days before that, I seen him and Lauren London on the 4-wheeler.
So Nipsey was in a good space, both personally and professionally, in the days before his death. He had just completed a video with DJ Khaled, a major mainstream collaboration that represented the peak of his career.
So the next day I come to work, that in the parking lot on the 4-wheeler, it's 7 in the morning, that nigga sitting in the parking lot rolling them up a backwood. I said, you bored, you ain't got nothing to do.
This account shows Nipsey in a relaxed, playful mood in the days before his death. The image of him on a 4-wheeler at 7 in the morning, described as being bored because he had taken time off from his usual relentless hustle, makes the tragedy even more devastating. He was finally taking time to enjoy the success he had worked so hard to achieve. The prosecution's case also established the premeditated nature of the attack through the timeline of events. The prosecution argued that the 9-minute gap between the conversation and the shooting was evidence of premeditation, citing Holder's actions of leaving the scene, arming himself, and returning to shoot Hussle. This timeline became crucial in distinguishing between first-degree murder and voluntary manslaughter. The defense, led by public defender Aaron Jansen, tried to argue that this was a heat-of-passion killing. Jansen argued that Holder was emotionally triggered by the snitching accusation and didn't have time to cool off, seeking a voluntary manslaughter charge instead of first-degree murder. However, this defense was undermined by the evidence of Holder's calculated actions and the testimony that no direct accusation was made. The trial also revealed disturbing details about the attack itself. According to the prosecution, Holder shot Hussle at least 10 times, possibly 11, with bullets striking him from the bottom of his feet to the top of his head, including a fatal shot to the back of his head. The sheer number of shots and the fact that they covered Hussle's entire body suggests an execution-style killing rather than a spontaneous act of violence. But perhaps the most damning evidence was the testimony about what happened after the shooting. The prosecution emphasized that Holder kicked Hussle in the head after shooting him, describing this as evidence of the very personal nature of the attack. This additional act of violence committed against a man who was already dying reveals the depth of Holder's rage and the personal nature of his animosity. The trial also exposed the role of jealousy and professional frustration in the murder. McKinney suggested that Holder's lack of success as a rapper, contrasted with Nipsey's rising fame and Grammy nomination, fueled jealousy. Holder's stage name was Fly Mac, and his limited recognition in the music scene was highlighted as a potential source of resentment. This aspect of the case reveals how professional jealousy and personal inadequacy can combine with cultural factors to create a deadly mix. Holder wasn't just angry about being called a snitch. He was angry about his own failures and Nipsey's success. The conversation about snitching may have been the trigger, but the underlying cause was deeper and more personal. The prosecution's evidence was so overwhelming that the defense's strategy seemed almost hopeless from the beginning. The trial, which began on June 15, 2022, after delays, was expected to last approximately 2 weeks, and the jury deliberated for 6 hours over 2 days. The speed of the deliberation suggests that the evidence was clear and convincing to everyone in that courtroom. On July 6, 2022, the jury found Holder guilty of first-degree murder, 2 counts of attempted voluntary manslaughter instead of attempted murder for the bystanders, 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon, and possession of a firearm by a felon.
Dude, do they have handcuffs on this guy while he in cuffs? While he in court? They got him cuffs. I don't know, man. Y'all need to let me know, man. Is he in cuffs? Damn.
6 hours over 2 days. The speed of the deliberation suggests that the evidence was clear and convincing to everyone in that courtroom. On July 6, 2022, the jury found Holder guilty of first-degree murder, 2 counts of attempted voluntary manslaughter instead of attempted murder for the bystanders, 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon, and possession of a firearm by a felon. The verdict was a vindication of the prosecution's case and a clear rejection of the defense's heat of passion argument. The prosecution's presentation of surveillance footage was particularly damaging to the defense. McKinney showed jurors videos and photos of the shooting capturing Holder's arrival, the act itself, and his departure while wearing a red shirt and bandana, carrying both a semi-automatic gun and a revolver. This visual evidence left little room for doubt about Holder's identity or actions. The trial ultimately revealed that this was not a case of street justice or gang retaliation, but a personal act of violence motivated by jealousy, inadequacy, and rage. This evidence showed that Holder made a conscious decision to kill Nipsey, and that this decision was driven by his own personal failures rather than any legitimate provocation. The controversies and unanswered questions from the streets. While Eric Holder Jr.'s conviction brought legal closure to Nipsey Hussle's murder case, it definitely didn't silence the whispers, theories, and controversies that have continued to bubble up from the streets about the death of the neighborhood king. In the years since the trial, new allegations have surfaced, old questions have resurfaced, and the hip-hop community has been forced to deal with uncomfortable truths about the circumstances surrounding Nipsey's death. From prison testimonies to social media revelations, from conspiracy theories to family disputes, the story of Nipsey Hussle's murder extends far beyond the courtroom verdict. The most explosive recent development came in 2025 with the arrest of Eugene Big U Henley on federal RICO charges. Big U, a well-known figure in Los Angeles and former shot caller for the Rollin' 60s neighborhood Crips, was indicted on 43 federal charges, including RICO violations, murder, extortion, fraud, and human trafficking. While these charges don't directly relate to Nipsey's murder, they have reignited speculation about Big U's potential involvement in the case. The allegations against Big U regarding Nipsey's murder have been particularly explosive. Former death row rapper SKG made claims in a March 2025 TMZ interview that Big U definitely has something to do with Hussle's murder. She alleged that Big U was an exploitative figure who terrorized the Crenshaw community and may have orchestrated the killing. However, these claims remain unconfirmed, and no federal charges connect Big U to Hussle's murder. The theory of Big U's involvement has been fueled by several factors, including alleged business disputes and past tensions. Posts on social media have claimed that Big U signed Nipsey to a 10-year contract in 2009, and tensions arose when Nipsey declined to re-sign in 2018, shortly before his death. Some have suggested that this contract dispute provided a motive for the murder, though no concrete evidence supports this theory. Adding fuel to these theories was testimony from rapper Loose Cannon, who was arrested alongside Big U in the RICO case. Cannon appeared on the No Jumper podcast and suggested that Big U had prior knowledge of Hussle's murder, claiming Big U knew Eric Holder was going to kill Hussle 30 minutes before the shooting. However, this episode was reportedly removed after Big U issued a cease and desist order. And
man, wait a minute. We got, I did a reaction to Loose Cannon saying that. And I know a lot of people be doing these reactions because once you put this information out there, you can take it down, the original. But people like us will still, we got 10,000. We got over 10,000 videos uploaded on YouTube on one channel. We got 3 channels, cuz. God dang, so the information, man, the information is still up there. Yeah, that's crazy.
Murder, claiming Big U knew Eric Holder was going to kill Hussle 30 minutes before the shooting.
Yeah.
However, this episode was reportedly removed after Big U issued a cease and desist order, and these statements lack corroborating evidence. The most disturbing aspect of these allegations is the suggestion that Nipsey's murder was not the result of a spontaneous confrontation, but part of a broader pattern of violence and intimidation. The RICO case against Big U focuses on a pattern of criminal activity, including the 2021 murder of aspiring rapper Rashawn Williams in Las Vegas. The similarities between the two cases, both involving artists who allegedly created diss tracks, have led some to speculate about connections. However, it's crucial to note that Big U has consistently denied involvement in Hussle's murder. In a 2019 Vlad TV interview, he called such rumors the dumbest shit in the world, and during a 2021 Drink Champs appearance, he expressed frustration at conspiracy theories, noting his promotion of Hussle's album Victory Lap. The prison experiences of Eric Holder Jr. have also become a source of controversy and speculation. Multiple accounts have emerged describing the violence and humiliation Holder has faced behind bars, providing a glimpse into the harsh reality of being imprisoned for killing a beloved community figure.
For guess who was on that bus when Eric Holder killed Nip.
This prison account provides a rare first-hand glimpse into Holder's treatment in custody. The witness describes encountering Holder on a prison transport bus, setting the stage for what would become a humiliating and violent experience for the convicted killer.
I'm with a few homies. I'm with a homie from 60s too.
Yeah.
But he's in a cage though. He was PC'd up, but he was in the last shit, spit on.
They were pissing and spitting on him in the bus?
Hell yeah, squirting piss on his ass.
Somebody like him can't be, he has to not be in general population.
This testimony reveals the extreme measures taken.
Young, are you serious? Dude, even in jail, I think about it. Some of these crimes, my bad, my mic falling off. Dude, some of these crimes that y'all doing out in the street, you get justice inside the jail. You think these guards, right? These guards been working at jail. They kind of know these people. They know who's who. They don't want no static. They want to do their job and get the F back home. So they are not going to, they're going to turn their back a little bit. Like, man, I seen them over there. They looked like they was cool. But I went to go do something else. And they see, they was all over the dude. They don't like when you do things to kids and babies. They don't like that. They don't like when they, like Nipsey Hussle, Biggie Smalls, Tupac, if you had anything and they think you had anything to do with it, they gonna get you. Cause they ain't got nothing else to do in jail. They ain't got nothing else to do. Jesus Christ. That right there is enough to make me say, I'm allergic to jail. I'm allergic to jail, man. I can't go. I'm sorry. I can't go.
By other inmates to express their disgust and anger toward
Damn, you hear this?
For the convicted killer.
I'm with a few homies. I'm with a homie from 60s too.
Yeah.
But he's in a cage though. He was PC'd up, but he was in the last shit, spit on.
They were pissing and spitting on him in the bus?
Hell yeah, squirting piss on his ass.
Somebody like him can't be, he has to not be in general population.
This testimony reveals the extreme measures taken by other inmates to express their disgust and anger toward Holder. The fact that inmates were able to urinate and spit on him despite security measures shows the intensity of the hatred he faces in prison. The prison violence against Holder has been confirmed by official reports. During the trial, it was revealed that Holder was attacked with a razor in a jail holding cell, requiring staples in his head and briefly delaying the trial. This attack highlighted the dangerous position Holder was in as the accused killer of a beloved community figure. This observation highlights how killing a celebrated artist creates enemies far beyond the local community.
Yeah, you ain't think about all that. You ain't even know about that. It's like, why even kill somebody? Why even do this? When you don't even know what is going, the retaliation. You don't even know, cousin. It's like you gonna steal a car. And you don't know the whole daggone, whoever designed and made that car gonna come after your tail. You don't know that. Stole my car? I made my car theft proof. And you gonna steal it? Oh, I'm kicking your tail too. Oh my God, I don't want the whole world after me, so don't do wrong. God dang it.
The dangerous position Holder was in as the accused killer of a beloved community figure. This observation highlights how killing a celebrated artist creates enemies far beyond the local community. The global reach of hip-hop means that artists like Nipsey have fans and supporters worldwide, all of whom become potential enemies of the killer.
You're a target.
Yeah.
You're definitely a target. People might want to test you.
The conspiracy, theories surrounding Nipsey's murder have also continued to evolve and spread, particularly on social media platforms. The most prominent conspiracy theory ties his death to a documentary he was reportedly working on about Dr. Sebi, a Honduran herbalist who claimed to cure diseases like AIDS and cancer. Social media platforms saw widespread speculation that the government or pharmaceutical companies targeted Hussle to suppress information about Dr. Sebi's alleged cures. These theories gained traction despite the lack of evidence, reflecting the historical and social context of the African American community, where centuries of systemic oppression and documented abuses have fostered deep distrust of government and institutional authority. The proliferation of these theories shows how communities process grief and trauma when official explanations seem inadequate. The ongoing controversies have also highlighted the challenges faced by those trying to honor Nipsey's legacy while dealing with the reality of his murder. The Marathon clothing store has since reopened at a new location, becoming a memorial site, but the shadow of the murder continues continues to hang over efforts to continue his community work. The legal system's handling of various aspects of the case has also generated controversy. The decision to grant immunity to Brianita Nicholson, the getaway driver, sparked outrage among some community members who felt she should have been held accountable as an accessory. Community activists argued that her immunity deal suggested leniency, possibly due to her cooperation, while others faced legal consequences for unrelated violations. The arrest of Kerry Lathan, one of the shooting victims, for allegedly violating parole by associating with Nipsey, has also remained controversial. Lathan was arrested 8 days after the shooting for violating parole by associating with a known gang member, namely Nipsey. This arrest highlighted the contradictions in how law enforcement viewed Nipsey's community role versus his gang affiliation. The ongoing legal proceedings related to the case have also generated interest. On November 5th, 2024, a California appeals court upheld Eric Ronald Holder Jr.'s first-degree murder conviction, rejecting the defense's challenge to the trial judge's rulings. This decision appears to close the final avenue for legal appeals, confirming that Holder will serve his 60-year sentence. The ongoing speculation about other potential motives or conspiracies reflects the difficulty many people have in accepting that such a senseless act could have such a simple explanation. The idea that years of work, millions of dollars in investment, and countless lives touched could be destroyed by a brief conversation about snitching seems inadequate to explain the magnitude of the loss. The streets will continue to debate and discuss the controversies surrounding his death, but one thing remains clear: Nipsey Hussle's legacy as a rapper, entrepreneur, and community leader will endure, even as the questions about his murder continue to evolve and multiply in the digital age. This was just one of many untold stories. Click any of the cards on your screen for more similar content.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Dude, 60 years. Even if my man was 20. Oh my God, I know he was older than 20. He's, I guess, at 25, maybe 30. And you put 60 years on top of that. Let's say you take 10 off for good behavior. So he can already do a 50-year stretch. And he already 20, 30. You 80 years old by the time you're gonna get out of jail. Your whole life is gone, cousin. But you wasn't thinking about that. You just decided you was gonna do what the streets has been teaching and preaching on you. And kill somebody. Look here, man. I'm about to get on up out of here, man. I'm on vacation. I'm in the Philippines. This just goes to show you, man, that the last part of this video shows you. Now I'm hoping I'm getting through to somebody, because Uncle Mike is just trying to preach positivity to people. I'm trying to help people. I don't think I'm bad, no boxing, no karate, just a man to keep the boogie in your body. Anyway, once the police get a hold of you and your name gets in the system or whatever the case may be, he was known to be in a gang. Nipsey, rest in peace to Nipsey. He trying to change his life over. He was almost changing his life over, but the police still looked at him as being in a gang. So the guy who got shot wasn't doing nothing, probably trying to change his life over too, was in affiliation with Nipsey. Who's a known gang member. You violated your parole. You going to jail after you heal because you got shot too. Does that sound right? Does that sound right? That sounds wrong. It's two left shoes. But it's written in the law. We have to go by the law. The rules of the land, brother. You can't go by nothing else but the rules of the land. So the lawyers and everything, what they gonna do? Well, you know, Yana, he was trying to change his life around. Yana, they both was changing their life around. That's facts. But the fact of the matter is, the law on the books say you are being an affiliation, you are around a known gang member, which means in the books means that you violated your parole. So you got to do the time. Now, when you come out, I hope you do better. Look here, man. I'm going to get on up out of here. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.